Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final video in the Constitution Explained series. It's been a long time to get to this moment, so let's go through only the important amendments of the rest of the amendments after the Bill of Rights. We'll try and go through them as rapid fire as possible, of course, with a little explanation from yours truly. Once again, you do not have to write down the actual text of the amendment. I'm not going to ask you to memorize 18th century, 19th, or 20th century language. What I am going to ask is, do you know what amendment outlawed slavery in the United States? So make sure you write down the stuff in black, the stuff in red or blue. You don't have to write. So the 13th Amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. This outlawed slavery in the United States, and it also gave Congress the means with which to enact laws to punish the practice of slavery. The 14th Amendment is Mrs. Jelinek favorite. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This is a long one. Here's what it means. First, it defines the qualifications for citizenship. Either you're born in the U.S. to U.S. citizens or in a U.S. territory, or you're naturalized. If you fall into one of those categories, you are a U.S. citizen. This is so important because this was passed in the years immediately following the Civil War, as was the 13th and the 15th. They are called the Reconstruction Amendments. This amendment is my favorite because, one, it makes all of the previously enslaved peoples citizens. And it also makes every minority whose citizenship was called into question, everyone belonging to those minorities are now citizens, without question. Secondly, no state can take away the rights of its citizens. All right? Doesn't matter where you live, which state you belong to, North state, South state, Middle state, West state, East state, Alaska, Hawaii. Your rights cannot be taken away. If you are a citizen, you have rights, and you cannot have them taken away. And third, all citizens are entitled to equal protection under the law, meaning that we all have constitutional rights and we all have access to those constitutional rights. Every single right that every civil rights movement, the civil rights movement of the 1960s, the disability rights movement, the women's rights movement, all rights that have been extended to previously disenfranchised or previously what's the word I'm looking for? Previously disadvantaged groups of people. Disadvantaged. Couldn't think of the word. Previously disadvantaged groups of people have been able to have access to their rights because of the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court has given women, minorities, those with disabilities, their rights in this country unequivocally because of the 14th Amendment. That's why it's my favorite. And then our last Reconstruction Amendment is the 15th Amendment. The rights of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. In essence, you cannot deny the people the right to vote based on race, skin color, or the fact that they were previously slaves. At the time this was written, you still had to be a man to vote. But it was a step in the right direction. Minority groups were previously disenfranchised. Now they are enfranchised. They get the right to vote. We're taking steps forward. This is a good thing. The 16th and 17th Amendments. The 16th Amendment states that the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes. I'm going to stop reading the 18th century speech there. Or we're in the 19th century now. I'm going to stop reading the 19th century speech there and just tell you that this establishes the federal income tax. Yes, you got to pay your taxes. Yes, if you do not pay your taxes, you will go to jail. Thank the 16th Amendment for that. Amendment 17. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state elected by the people thereof for 6 years. I'm going to stop the 19th century speech there and just tell you that the 17th Amendment established that the people get to vote for their senators. Previously, it was the state legislatures that put the senators in their places. Now the people get to vote for their senators. Thank you, 17th Amendment. Previously, senators were not elected by the people. They were appointed by the states. The 18th and the 21st Amendments. Don't worry, I'm not skipping the 19th. I'm coming back to it. These two are just connected. The 18th Amendment, after 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within, the importation thereof into, or the exportation thereof from the United States and all territories subject to the jurisdiction thereof for beverage purposes is hereby prohibited. This is the prohibition of alcohol. Now, here's the thing. Does this, by looking at it, ban the drinking of alcohol? No. It says you can't make it, sell it, or transport it. But it doesn't say that if you don't already have it, you can't drink it. And it also, they also found a loophole for alcohol used for religious purposes. So a lot of people during the Prohibition period found religion. All right, the 21st Amendment, skipping ahead a little bit, is the 18th article of the Amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. It repealed prohibition. Now alcohol is legal again as of the 21st Amendment, and an easy way to remember the 21st Amendment is 21 is the legal drinking age, and Amendment 21 made drinking legal again. Now we're going back to the 19th Amendment. I wasn't going to forget you ladies. Don't you worry. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. This gave women the right to vote. Finally. Why did women get the right to vote now and not before? Well, a little thing called World War I had happened, so now we are into the 20th century, and women proved that they actually could do things because they had to work in place of the men who were drafted in to fight World War I. And so that was kind of the final push to the women's rights movement, and the 19th Amendment was finally ratified. If only women at this time could legally own property or open a bank account by themselves. Interestingly enough, women were not allowed to open bank accounts by themselves in all of the United States until the 1970s. No, I did not misspeak. 1970s. Let that sink in for a minute. But not too long, because we're moving on to the 22nd Amendment. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of the president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the president more than once. This puts term limits on the president to terms of 4 years. Previously, presidents had just stepped down after 2 years. That was a precedent set by George Washington. George Washington only served 2 limits. Most presidents after George Washington also only served 2 terms. But there were no official limits in the law put on the office of president. So a man called Franklin Delano Roosevelt is elected president and is re-elected 3 more times. People were not too happy about this. They said that one person should not have that much power for that long. So after Franklin Roosevelt died in office during his 4th term, there was a push to get the 22nd Amendment ratified and into the language of the Constitution. The 24th Amendment, the right of the citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senator or representative, shall not be denied or abridged on the United States or by any state by reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. This got rid of poll taxes as a requirement to vote because it was discriminatory against those without access to a lot of disposable income. All right, you cannot be required to pay to vote, is what the 24th Amendment says. The 26th Amendment is the right of the citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. So as long as you are 18, you can vote in the United States. All right. The reason they passed this is because at the time of the Vietnam War, 18-year-olds were being drafted to fight for the United States, but they couldn't vote for the politicians who were sending them overseas to fight in a very widely unpopular war. So that's why there was a big push for the 26th Amendment. It passed through very, very quickly, and that's why the voting age was lowered to 18. It was a very, very popular amendment at the time. The 27th Amendment's about congressional pay. You don't have to know that one. Make sure you at least have these amendments written down. Any of them could show up on your Constitution exam. And that, my friends, really is the end. So I hope that you all learned something. I hope you had your memories refreshed about the Constitution. Have a wonderful evening.